The purpose of this short video is to show us how to record a journal entry in Great Plains using SmartConnect rather than typing it into the journal entry window. So let's go over a few areas. First, how do we open SmartConnect? First, it's under the GP menu, Tools, SmartConnect, and then Map. In this window, we'll find a few of the SmartConnect maps that we've set up for GHC. And currently, the one at the bottom that says GHC GL Journal Entry is the one that we want to pull into the window. The mapping has already been done to the source file for this SmartConnect. What we might want to do next is just take a look at the source file. This Excel template serves as a great starting point for your journal entries. Let me explain a few of the columns. In the first column, the journal entry number. The reason that we have a number in this column is so that you can do more than one journal entry in this source file. In this example, however, we just have one journal entry with multiple lines. And so we'll cover the simple scenario of one journal entry with multiple lines. Since it's one journal entry, the posting date, of course, would be the same. It's one journal entry. It has one posting date in the general ledger. The next two columns can be ignored. They're used for companies that might need to have intercompany transactions. So columns C and D are not to be changed, but they are required just so that we have placeholders for the information. So in your journal entries, follow this sample and just leave the word false in column C, and in column D, GHC. Column E is the account numbers that you would like to use in your journal entry. In my simple example, I'm using the same account number, but obviously you would change this based on your needs. We do require to have the dash in the account number, so place your account numbers into column E. In column F, there'll be one reference for every journal entry, just like there is in Great Plains. So if we have one journal entry, which we do in this window, just copy your reference down so that it fills all available rows. The distribution reference is not required, but it can be used for the distribution accounts. The third line in the journal entry window allows us to have some extra descriptions, if you will, for the journal entry. So this is just an example. Moving over, we have column H is the debit, and column I is the credit. What's particular about our file is if you don't have anything in the column, for example here we would want to have nothing in the debit column, we still are required to put zeros in there. So please make sure that any of your cells in the journal entry have a value, whether that's the actual debit of $100 or a zero indicating there's nothing in that cell. And then finally, not only can we have multiple journal entries in one source file, we could also put those journal entries into different batches. In our simple example, we have one batch called example. We have one journal entry going into one batch. The journal entry has 14 lines, and it's allocated to these accounts. It's got one reference, and for each distribution account, it's got extra descriptions that will show up in the third line for the account numbers under the description area. Okay, so that's our basic file. A couple of other rules. We want to not have anything at the bottom, in other words, totals and things like that. So what I usually do is I highlight a few of them, I right-click and I delete just to make sure there's no extra spaces at the bottom. Another thing that we want to ask you to do is when you save it as an Excel file and save it as the Excel 97-2003 workbook. So that naturally gives it an extension of XLS. And we do that because not everyone has Office 2007 or Office 2010. And so this is just the basic way to save it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that. And in this case, since I'm on an Office 2007 system, it's just warning me that you're going to lose a little styling, but you know, that's okay. We'll just hit continue. So allow me to then I close the file and I'll minimize Excel, and we'll go back into our map window. So at this point you have your Excel template, You've typed in your Excel template how you want it to be. You've closed the Excel file and saved it as an Office 2003 document. In this map window, I always find it helpful to click on the data source just to preview the journal entry. It only shows you the first several lines, so don't expect every line to show here. It's just giving you a preview, and you kind of scan it for reasonableness, make sure there's no garbage characters in there or any trouble, and then you hit OK. You can close your data source window. You're back on your mapping window. This integration is designed to go into the GHC company already, so we're done with that. At this point, we would just go ahead and run it. And it's going to create an open journal entry in an open batch in the general ledger. So worst case scenario, if you type something wrong and you want to delete that journal entry, that's fine. So this is very, very safe to do. The question is, are you sure you want to run this map? We hit yes. We let it process, and what we want to see, this is the perfect window, right? It says record count 1, which indicates we had one journal entry, success count 1, which means one journal entry went in. That's what we want to see on this window. So I'm going to hit done, and then I'll close my map window because now I'd like to look in Great Plains and see what happened. To find an open journal entry, we go to Transactions, Financial, General. We use our looking glass. And I'm going to scan down the list of open journal entries here. And here's a batch called Example. That's the one we just created. So it created the batch for us. Double-clicking on it. It gives it its own journal entry number, the next available number. It gives the batch. It gives the date that we had on the source file, as well as our reference that we put in. And then at the bottom grid, you can see the debits and then the credits as we put into our source file. Our debits and credits equal. And then also as I hit my double down arrows, this is called the chevron, when I hit that double down arrows, I can see the extra distribution that I put in, the distribution reference as we call it, just to add additional descriptions for these entries. And that is how we use SmartConnect with an Excel source file to integrate a journal entry into Great Plains. So I'm going to go ahead and save this journal entry and then go back to the main batch window and show you, in case you don't like what came in and you would like to just remove it, we just go to the batch window, pull up the batch, be careful pulling up the batch, of course. The one we created was called Example. Okay, and by deleting the batch in Great Plains, we're going to be deleting the batch itself and the journal entry in that batch. So here we go. I'm going to clean up what I did here. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete, delete, and done. Okay, so that's it for how to create a journal entry using SmartConnect and the Excel template. Thank you and best of luck.